Welcome back to the Shine Within podcast. And I already see you, April, that you are shining in this video here. You have this gleam of light upon you, and it is very beautiful, matching your beautiful skin and hair. So, April Federico is a certified nutritionist, gut health consultant, and hormone health and type 2 diabetes expert who educates and empowers women to have healthier relationships with food, nutrition, and themselves. In February 2022, she nearly succumbed to the diabetic ketoacidosis, and she was an alcoholic for 4 years prior to giving alcohol and coffee for good. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
On top of that, she is a social media and publishing powerhouse. April, I just want to welcome you. You are a dear friend of mine, and it's a pleasure having you on my show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I have a really bad sore throat, but you know what? The show must go on.
You know, you and I both have sore throats. I have a dry throat, so I'm going to be sipping my little drink right over here. Non-alcoholic drink.
I got my tea.
This is my go time power energy, clean energy, not like the stuff they put in Red Bull and stuff,
Yeah.
but the good packet stuff, So with full of antioxidants, just to revitalize myself, because I have not slept in almost 3 days, it feels like. But you know what? I am happy. And if I'm stumbling upon words, it's because of that. But anyway, this show is about you, not about me. Can you please share with me your background and how you became this beautiful certified nutritionist who specializes in gut and type 2 diabetes?
Oh goodness. Well, it really started on the night I almost died, and that was February 14th, 2022. And I had succumbed to my mom's decision to go to the emergency room because I was feeling so awful. I didn't know why. It was like the worst pain I've ever felt, and I had pain in my lower back as well. And I woke up in the hospital in the ICU to doctors just like begging me to tell them where I am just so they can you know, So I I think I said something really random at one point. I think I vaguely remember saying I was at like my boyfriend's dad's pool party or something. Because I was dreaming, and which obviously meant I was staying alive. And yeah, it was yeah, then I finally like regained not that regained consciousness. I almost said regain confidence, but
and regaining confidence too.
yeah, but I regained consciousness fully, just so I could like use the bedpan and so on and so forth. And then I had doctors basically telling me like, April, you do know you're diabetic, right? I'm like, no, or I do now. But yeah, so I had no inch of knowing that I was in fact diabetic. But before that, I was basically abusing the living you know what out of my body. I followed the Carrie Bradshaw method, which was basically like, don't work out, like drink your you know what off, and just live like this very lavish lifestyle. Yeah, and just so you know, fiction remains fiction. It's not realistic. I mean, I know people who base their lives off of Gossip Girl or shows like that, and I gotta tell you, it's not worth it.
Right. And it's interesting that you bring that up, because growing up, that's what we watch, is caca TV, as I would always say, because it's just like they want us to be conditioned a certain way, all for money, I believe. They want to make money. So they're like, yeah, they'll use celebrities. They'll use, beautiful people. Who knows if they're even real? It could be a hologram for all I know.
Exactly. And I remember growing up as well. Like I grew up in I was born in 1996. So you can imagine that very ugly time circa 2009 when Brittany Murphy had passed away. And she suffered from anorexia and all these really gross societal norms in quotation marks. that Hollywood had put upon her and other celebrities as well. I mean, 2009 was the most ugly time. And as was like 2010, 2011. I mean, I remember personally suffering from an unspecified eating disorder. Um, and those actually do exist, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
There are eating disorders out there that don't really have a name and they're not really well known. I mean, normally we hear about like anorexia, bulimia, obesity, and yeah, that's pretty much my story. And I grew up having like such a bad relationship with my body. I mean, I didn't think about it until a a boy in fifth grade chorus called me pregnant because I had
What?
extra, yeah, because I had extra fat in my stomach. Yeah, it was just baby fat. And like it took a while to get that out, but
Everyone has that.
yeah, everyone
I
has
had
that.
that too. I still have it. After pregnancy, you always have a little flab right there. It's like, oh, I guess go away.
Yeah, well, I've never been pregnant, but I'm sure I will experience that. But I mean, hey, it's normal to have a little fat on you. I mean, if not, I mean, we're all beautiful in our own way. And the town that I grew up in obviously had succumbed to those so-called norms that Hollywood and like all those magazines, like Glamour, I don't mean to name drop, but like there was
Cosmopolitan,
Cosmopolitan.
Vogue. Those are the ones that I was reading when I was growing up. And trust me, I have really good information at the time, but you know what? Not good information for the way of living, right? I would say bad advice they would give me.
Absolutely. And like in eighth grade, I was living off of like 17 magazine workouts and like articles about like how to get JLo's butt and like how
Right.
to get Cameron Diaz's legs. And it's safe to say that I did get the body that I wanted, but was I happy? No. So that's why I potentially came back to someone in healthcare. And I mean, I got away from healthcare for quite some time because, well, college science is hard. And I'm not saying that no one should pursue it. I mean, pursue it, but it was just like not good for my mental well-being.
Mhm. You know,
So,
I sucked in chemistry and physics. I was not the science person in high school. And so I think I was okay in biology a little bit, but like chemistry, the periodic table, what is that? I suck at math. It wasn't my thing. So I feel you on that one.
yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't until I was 19 and I was dating a 21-year-old in college and I was introduced to alcohol. And the first time I ever picked up a drink was at my great aunt's house on Thanksgiving. And we had like an early dinner and I mean, it was kind of like a second dinner. But us Italians, like we
Manja manja, right?
But regardless, I remember picking up my first red wine. I loved it. Like, not gonna lie, I loved it.
Yeah.
And I remember craving it constantly afterwards. And then I remember just feeling like um it was almost blissful in a sense because like I was kind of like fading in and out. Not in a bad way, but like since alcohol is a depressant, it can make you really sleepy. So,
Especially red wine, and it definitely makes people sleepy. And as a matter of fact, that's what I started off with. I started drinking wine first when I was like 20, 21, closer to 22 years old. And it was we're to a point where, those, I don't know, maybe you're a little bit too young, the AOL chats and stuff, you have your username and then you have like a little sound that goes with it. Mine was the one that the cork would pop out, pop, out of like the champagne bottle.
that's so
It was,
cute.
oh my, I don't know why I was doing. I was like in my college years and stuff, and I was like, oh, chat. Like, anyway, but I started off with wine too, but then eventually it led to more of the cocktails when I was going out clubbing. Then it led to, okay, I have more wine at home. Then it led to straight vodka because then I can sneak that one into any water bottle with soda bottles. I even created tea and made vodka. Like seriously, I got creative and it was not good because it was affecting my health. And so what do you know in your expertise, what do you know that how alcohol affects our health? What does it do to us?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of my favorite topics because, I mean, it's kind of like repurposing your pain, sort of. And yes, that's and just like that quote. And so yeah, alcohol can disrupt the balance of the gut microbiota, leading to dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of beneficial and harmful microorganisms. And this imbalance can result in decreased microbial diversity and overgrowth of potentially harmful bacteria in your gut. And chronic alcohol consumption can increase intestinal permeability, often referred to as leaky gut. And this means that the integrity of the intestinal lining is compromised, which allows toxins and bacteria to enter the bloodstream. And this can trigger inflammation and contribute to various health issues such as cardiovascular disease, liver disease, and metabolic disorders. And not to mention, going back to the liver for a quick sec, um, excessive alcohol consumption can directly impact liver health. And the liver plays a crucial role in metabolizing alcohol. And excessive alcohol intake can, again, cause inflammation and fatty liver disease. And liver health is closely interconnected with gut health, as the liver receives a significant portion of its blood supply from the intestines. And alcohol can also impair the absorption of various nutrients in the gut, such as vitamins, minerals, and certain amino acids. And this can lead to deficiencies and negatively impact overall health. And I'm gonna add type 2 diabetes to that list of diseases because um, let's see, some studies suggest that alcohol consumption may improve insulin sensitivity, which is the body's ability to use insulin effectively to regulate blood sugar levels. However, excessive alcohol consumption can have the opposite effect, leading to insulin resistance, which we don't want. And this is a key factor in the development of type 2 diabetes. And not to mention, it could lead to hypoglycemia, and it's essential to consult a healthcare professional like myself to understand how alcohol may interact with specific medications and to receive personalized recommendations. I mean, it's harder for me because being a type 2 diabetic myself, it's hard to have like a mocktail because they have so much sugar.
Mm. Yeah.
And not gonna lie, like going out a lot, well, not a lot, but like just like going out in general to a restaurant, it's hard to not order a cocktail because it's just like, okay, what can I have but still have a good time? And
Right.
that, yeah, and this is like in the earliest stages of my sobriety, which not gonna lie, I have relapsed a couple of times, but hey, healing is not linear.
Right.
As cliche as that may sound, it really isn't. But think about this question. As I was doing my spiritual practice this morning, I came across this question. It's like, would you still be grateful if you knew that your past experiences shaped who you are?
I love that. Yes. I tell myself I'm grateful for all the experience that I've had, good and bad, because it does mold us into who we are and who we're becoming more and more, and how we're shining. more and more, and I really believe that a lot of the pain that we have gone through, there's a purpose behind the pain. There's always a purpose, whether it's we're reaching out to people who are experiencing things that we've experienced in the past, or just listening to somebody who just wants to talk. It's good just to listen. Some people like to just vent, and that's what I always do to my husband, by the way. I'm like, just lay it on me, go ahead. It's about work and stuff. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I'm all ears, because I don't know anything about engineering. Like I said, I'm not good at math or anything. So whatever, I just like, uh-huh, but sometimes I have to let it out. But I always feel like our mess is our message. Whatever we, yeah, whatever we experience, that, hey, crap happens. It happens. Everybody goes through something. Everybody. I don't think I've ever met any perfect person ever. I mean, if Jesus were alive right now, but besides that, like, we just do the best that we can.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I actually experienced what was my biggest wake up call. And I'll tell you this story, a brief story, because I'm sure everyone's heard this story already who's listening. Is that I was getting a lot of pain around my back and my torso area and my upper intestinal area. And I couldn't even move. Like, everything was coming out. I was vomiting constantly. I couldn't hold any water or nothing. So I went to the hospital, and they did a CAT scan, and they found that I had pancreatitis.
Mm,
And oh, that hurts. It's like almost worse than like labor pain.
mm,
And it's like one of the worst pains I've ever experienced in my life. I'm just like, oh, and I've experienced pain, trust me, and I have a high pain tolerance. But they put me on an all liquid diet, because just to get that inflammation, like to get it, recover it. And so, by the way, I lost a lot of weight in the hospital. That time with doing liquid, it was just like broth, and then tea, not like tea, but just like water, just
yeah.
straight liquid. And then eventually I went to more like a soft liquid, so it was like more like jello, pudding, but it was
Mm,
mostly at the beginning popsicles and like water and broth, bouillon and stuff like that. But it was healing and healing. So it really does mess up everything. I want to say literally everything, from the mindset to the skin to our insides. Like, it destroys us. And it's sad that we were talking about this earlier, that it is so glamorized in society. Oh, everyone goes to drink for a celebration. Even at funerals, people are drinking, of course, because they're sad. They want to probably numb themselves. At sporting events, what do people do? They're drinking, birthday parties, they're drinking. Even like my friend's like 1-year-old birthday, they're having margaritas there. Like, he's 4 years old, but it's like for the adults. Like, it's like there's no escape. So it's hard for people who are either sober curious and trying to like wean off alcohol, or in recovery, and they see it all around. Now, I want your opinion. What are some best tips that people can do when they come across situations like that?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, the best thing, in my opinion, is to honestly just say no. And I know that's easier said than done. However, I think it was Nancy Reagan who said that, but yeah, it was. And it's just like, hmm, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of a tough question because I mean, personally, I've learned to just say no. And I know that every body is different and like
Mhm.
everyone reacts a certain way to different situations. Um, and that everyone comes from a specific background socioeconomically, and also just let's see, just in life.
Yeah.
And I mean, for them, it could be hard to say no.
Mhm.
However, it is possible. Or just reach for that glass of water and just say, like, this is my drink, and no, no alcohol. And and honestly, water is probably the best thing for you. Like, even like a soda is like good for you. I mean, I'm not saying soda is actually like good for you, but
Like a
it's
seltzer water or
yeah,
tonic
the
water,
seltzer.
club soda. Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in my situation, that's been really hard because like I can't drink tonic water because it has a lot of
Mm.
carbohydrates.
Oh, it does? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it has like at least 30 to 60 grams of it.
Okay, I'm no longer drinking that one. I don't drink it often, but like now I know never to drink it.
Yeah, I mean it's good for malaria, but let's be honest.
Right, right.
Yeah, like tonic water or seltzer water, even Fresca,
Mm.
like those are good. I mean, just to say the least.
I remember Fresca. Those were really good before. When I was young, going to my friend's house. This was like in elementary school. So this was like beyond you weren't even born yet. Um, it was always Fresca in the refrigerator. So it's funny that you brought that up. I'm like, oh, Fresca. Yeah, I didn't even know they still made
Yeah.
those. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have Fresca at the country club that I work at, just to earn some extra cash. And yeah, I've never tried it personally, but I know that it doesn't have a high sugar content, which is actually really good for diabetics. And it's also really good for people in general. I mean, to have like a non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, and speaking about diabetes, when I was pregnant with my youngest son, Peyton,
Hmm.
in my last trimester, I think it was like even the last month, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes. And
Oh.
so I had to inject insulin in my stomach. And then
Oh,
he had to they wanted to deliver him earlier. So they were going to induce me because they thought he would get too big and he wouldn't be able to, give a like a natural birth. And so
right.
they induced me. I scheduled for an induction that day, and then my uterine, my placenta detached from the uterole, and I started hemorrhaging tremendously. And
Ooh,
then my little one was losing a lot of blood and oxygen. And it got to a point where they had to do emergency C-section, and they had to rush me in because I guess they maybe only had one C-section room, but it was occupied. But this was like an emergency because I was bleeding out. I may be dying, and then my baby may be dying. Both of us almost died actually. And I remember they took me in and they took him out and they had to revive him because he lost so much oxygen and in his head he wasn't breathing. So the pediatrician, bless his heart, and I have pictures of his pediatrician. This was is a really good doctor apparently, and so he revived him, got him, and then I saw him briefly in the little incubator thing that you rolled him in, and I was like so out of it because I was in anesthesia from the medication. I was like all like kind of drugged, and so I just barely looked at him, and then that was it. They took him, and then I had to stay in postpartum in recovery for 3 days. And I'm not sure if I mean this is during my heavy drinking. I didn't drink during my pregnancy, but I was drinking very heavily before he was born, or before I was pregnant with him.
mhm.
And do you think that the two do you think there's a connection between the alcohol and me having that detachment at all? I was like always curious, like how did that happen? Because I was always getting monitored and everything. Everything was fine, ultrasound constantly because of the gestational diabetes. But I don't know. I don't know why that happened. It was like a freak accident.
Yeah, I would say it's a freak accident as well. I mean, that stuff doesn't really happen on the daily, if you know what I mean.
Right.
I mean the only instances I can say like that's weird that they put you on insulin while you were pregnant with him. Is that what I heard right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird because my cousin, she had just gestational diabetes with her daughter, and the doctors told her not to go on insulin because it could affect, the child. And
Mm.
so I don't know what medication she was on or something, but she did check her blood sugar regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what you were doing?
Yeah, I was checking I had to do like that little prick on the finger, and then yeah, I was on a special diet.
Yeah. What was your diet like?
Oh,
Besides,
no sugar, little carbs, like that's what it was, like no sugar and very few carbohydrates. And then if they were carbohydrates, it were like from fruits, vegetables. And yeah, it was very strict.
yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're first diagnosed, like even with type 2 diabetes or even gestational diabetes and even type 1 diabetes, I mean, well, type 1 diabetes is incurable, and type 1 diabetes, unfortunately, there's more restrictions on that, because they can't have any sugar whatsoever, or at least that's not recommended. Um, but I will say that following a semi-restrictive diet does help with the mindset, and it does help with your discipline, your self-discipline. And what separates me from most nutritionists is that I focus on the mindset, and my whole mission is to educate and empower women to not have these restrictions on themselves, especially if they're type 2 diabetic. Um, Otherwise they just completely miss out on life. They miss out on, having fun, and ultimately leads to obsession or yearning for like a piece of God knows
Right.
what. So
Yeah, well, that's so awesome that you do that. And do you have a special method or process that you take your clients through?
yeah, I'm actually the founder of the Cicero methodology, and that stands for confidence and intelligence, create emotional resilience to optimize.
Oh, I love
I always
that.
have to spell that out with my fingers.
No,
So
that's awesome. That's great.
yeah, and basically it's kind of a universal concept because, or at least it became a universal concept because when you go to the doctor, when you go to your dietitian, when you go to a diabetes educator, like they always preach like, nutrition, exercise, weight loss, blah, blah, blah. And I remember sitting at one point in a gastroenterology, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and the nurse practitioner, I mean, I'm not trying to talk badly about anybody, but she didn't really know what she was doing except just to preach weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. However, what about the mindset that goes behind all that?
Right.
Like that has to come from you.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why my A1C is so low right now, it's a 5.6, which is considered non-diabetic.
Wow.
Um, and I'm curious to see what it is in exactly a month. Side note. But it really took a lot of mindset work and a lot of nights where I had to tell myself to like stop crying and to like, just quit, bitching and moaning and just do it.
Just do it, like Nike.
Exactly.
Action. Yeah, there's the consciousness, there's like the thoughts, the emotion, and action. When you have
Exactly.
all three of those aligned, you are on fire. Unstoppable. Taking on the action. But like you said, the mindset is very important because that's where it starts, like our mind. Because whatever
Hmm.
our thoughts, whatever we're thinking in our head, are we thinking negatively? Are we thinking positively? Are we not thinking? But
Exactly.
yeah, if we get in the right mindset and want to reframe our thoughts and ideas and just shift our stories, just maybe slightly make them a little bit more optimistic instead of pessimistic, then you know what? Things get better and better little by little, but it's not going to happen overnight. This is a practice.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight for sure. And you're right about that. And yeah, I just wanted to say briefly that the gut and the brain are definitely connected. Like you become what you feed your mind. And like if you're feeling down and out, like that's going to affect your entire body. And Hippocrates was right when he said that all disease begins in the gut.
Yeah. Have you heard of Dr. Uh, is it Gundry? Dr. Gundry, he's like a stomach doctor. And he talks
Oh,
about leaky gut and all this stuff, but he said the same exact thing. Like it is like it's the second brain.
yeah, it is a second brain. I mean, it's like when you ignore your intuition, you're basically ignoring your thoughts. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, say for example, you're out on a date with somebody and you see a bunch of red flags, but you feel it in your gut too.
Right.
Like I said, or like what the doctor said, it's like your gut is the second brain, and you may ignore it at first because like, hey, you really like this guy or girl or whatever, and but you really do have to listen to it.
Yes. What are some foods? Because like my stomach, my husband experiences a lot of like he's like I want to say he has IBS. He experiences both hemorrhoids. Okay, don't listen to this, husband. Okay, sorry. He probably doesn't listen to it anyway. And then constipation and then diarrhea. Like, and
Yeah.
then it's a lot of it was when he eats like rice or
Yeah.
like milk or certain things. Like I'm like, you know what, you need to remove these things from your diet and see what happens. And then we fast. I fast twice a week. He fasts once a week. On his fasting days, he has no problems, and it's like a reset. But what are some foods that we can start eliminating from our pantries and refrigerators that can prevent us from having stomach issues?
Yeah. So the first thing I avoid processed foods. Definitely avoid processed foods. And actually partner with an app called Go Coco, which you can definitely download on the App Store for free. And you can just basically scan items in your home just to see is this good or is this bad? And it will tell you straight up.
Wow, that's so neat. What is it called again?
Go Coco,
Go
all one
Coco.
word.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know that existed. There's the phone can do so many different things. I know. I was actually there's an app where you can check your plant to see why it has like spots on it, certain spots, and then it like tells you like, oh, it needs more water. Oh, it's or too much water. So yeah, that's awesome that there's an app for that as well. That's great. And now you conduct certain events and you invite. Do you work with men as well, or is it just women?
Primarily women, but I'm definitely open to working with men.
That's awesome. So yeah, is there anything happening in the future that you want to invite any of maybe anyone who's listening right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, I'm currently offering gut health PDFs, and I'm also offering hormone health PDFs, and healthy habit PDFs, which you can if you email me or DM me on Instagram at Be Well by April, you can definitely get those for free. And just say that you listen to the Gina Kunadian podcast, Shine. And and I would love to connect with you guys. Because I think this is such an overlooked topic. But yet it's so important because it affects like billions, if not trillions of people.
Right. Now I was going to ask you also, now that you said your A1C is good, it's better.
Hmm. Yeah.
What have you done for yourself? Because that's incredible. You're reversing everything from type 2 to no diabetes and practically. What have you done for yourself? What are some of the habits you do?
Yeah. So I swear by Pilates, and I also swear by getting my steps in, like at least 8,000 to 10,000 steps per day. And like I said, everyone's bio individuals. So do what's best for you. However, 20 minutes of walking per day can make a significant impact on your blood sugar. And also, if you must have a carb with your meal, like say if it's rice, which rice is actually the worst carbohydrate you can have if you're diabetic. And so what I do is I take like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and I add it to water, and it works wonders.
I love apple cider vinegar. My drink that I drink almost every day is lemon juice, hot water, apple cider vinegar with cayenne pepper And then,
Ooh.
oh, I love the cayenne pepper. And then I'll put a cinnamon stick inside there. So it kind of tastes like one of those like apple cider drinks, the hot apple ciders, but the vinegar flavored, But
That
it
sounds
actually,
yummy,
it's
actually.
detoxifying and it's good for the skin, for
Yeah.
your immune system, and it just helps the gut as well.
Yeah, I gotta
I
try that now.
Yeah, I drink it every day. I love it. And we're starting to grow lemons in our yard. We got a little bush of a Meyer lemon bush. So you can see the little lemons starting to grow. I'm like, oh yay, I can just use my own lemons. I actually made tomato chutney for the first time using the tomatoes, the cherry, I think they're cherry tomatoes that we've grown in our backyard. So I made or I'm trying to like cook organically. When I mean organic, I'm talking about like it's in my backyard. I don't
Exactly.
I don't trust them when they say organic at the grocery store. How do I know? Is it grown next to me? No. So they're just trying to make money again, like I said. And so that's why I'm so excited about having a garden because I'm trying to do more clean eating. I want to grow my own stuff and just change to cut out sugar. Like I've noticed that now that I'm fasting, I don't have the cravings of sugar that I used to. And after alcohol, I crave sugar all the time. And I still did before, like 2 weeks ago. And but like, you know what? After fasting, I'm resetting my body and I'm noticing that I'm not craving it as much. Maybe it's pray the God, my Lord is actually answering my prayers. I'm like, I don't want to use sugar anymore. And plus we don't bring it in the house. That's the big key.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, the common way of putting that is when you give up something, like your body craves like a substitute for that. And in your case, that substitute is sugar, because there is a lot of sugar in alcohol, unfortunately, despite maybe causing like hypoglycemia in some diabetic patients. But yet again, individuality. And something else that I also follow is the high fiber diet. And that basically means, let's see, 25% of your plate is meat, 25% of your plate is carbs or no carbs at all, or in that case, the rest of your plate would be like 75% veggies.
So go for the veggies. Go for the veggies.
Go for the veggies, go for the fruits, specifically go for the low glycemic fruits.
Not the bananas and mangoes, right?
Yeah, definitely not the bananas and mangoes, but but, and also not bananas or anything like that. But I mean, you can have them just in moderation.
Small
Um,
portion.
small portions, yes. And low glycemic fruits include like pears, berries, blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. In fact, blueberries are one of the key foods that lower your A1C naturally.
And we have a blueberry bush in our backyard we just planted. So, and you know what's so funny? I have to tell you a story. Sorry to cut you off, but before
No,
I
you're
forget,
good.
so my husband is like, I am such an idiot. I don't know why I'm blasting my husband so much today. Sorry, Victor. Okay. uh, he thought we're at Dale's hardware store in Fremont. It's like this nice, like it's like a hardware store, but they have a beautiful garden area where you can just pick your whatever, the greenhouse room. And it said grape something on there, and he grabbed his grapes. But then he really looked at it. It was like grape something blue, something berries. And so it's not even like, you know how there's like grape tomatoes. Well, it was like it's called grape something, and it was actually raspberries or some blackberries. I'm not sure. So he thought they were grapes. So why isn't it growing into like vines? How come it's just staying like that? And he's like, oh, I brought the wrong one. So we have not only blueberries, we have also blackberries.
I love
By
that.
mistake. Anyway, I thought I would just share
Like a
that.
happy accident, so
Yeah.
my opinion.
So thanks for sharing that with me. Now I'm even more excited that he picked the wrong plant.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
That's so awesome. Well, is there anything else that you would like to share to the audience about diabetes, alcohol, or even just the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I tell people on every podcast that I guest on is if you know something is wrong, go get checked out immediately, because A, no one's going to do that for you. And B, you know your body better than anyone else. And I'm going to add a C. Yeah, just don't wait till it's too late, like I did back in 2022.
Wow, and that was so recent too. And I'm so proud of you, April. And you actually not even drinking coffee anymore, huh?
Yeah, no.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's
great.
definitely done wonders for like my hormone health, and like that's why I'm so passionate about like hormones and so forth, because it really is all connected and I love
Hmm.
it.
Right. And now, since you've stopped alcohol and coffee, what physical changes, emotional changes, what overall changes are you experiencing?
Yeah, so in terms of like period health, I'm no longer PMSing as far as I know.
Wow. Okay.
That's
I need to know.
something serious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I explain it all in my hormone health guide. And yeah, and I'm actually going to send you the link to that, Gina.
Yeah. Send it
Yeah,
to
if you
me.
like it. So yeah,
How
I
about
lost,
mindset weight? Yeah. You said you
yeah,
lost some weight too?
yeah, I did lose some weight,
That's good.
and it's just like consistency really does count,
Hmm.
and consistency really does bring you results. Like if you're just sitting on your butt doing nothing, you're literally not benefiting yourself in the slightest. And also, I've been embracing public accountability, meaning that um like I would post on, say, Instagram, and my followers would just keep me accountable and say like, they wouldn't say anything, but I just it's a way of keeping yourself accountable as well.
Yes. And then you also have a Facebook group, don't you?
I do, and I'm actually in the process of making a new one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be well by April, very,
Nice.
very soon. So keep an eye out for that. I'll send you the link to that as well.
That's awesome. Now, for anyone, because of course, our listeners here are ones that are, want to get better in their mind, want to
Mhm.
get better in their health, and of course, they want to quit drinking. What is some advice you can give them for the ones that are, what, I want to stop drinking or are thinking about stop drinking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say what you had said to me when I had severely relapsed a few months ago. And it's basically like occupy yourself in activities like, volunteering, your spirituality. I mean, the Lord, the universe will also hold you accountable. And even just like script in your journal, like, I am becoming the person that I am and my dream self, so to speak, because I no longer drink alcohol.
That's beautiful. And I can see you like sparkling and glowing. So congratulations on that. I know we've had some conversations in the past about some hiccups from things, but you know what? We're human and that's how we learn.
Exactly.
Sometimes we have to go backwards in order to move even further ahead, right?
Exactly. And like I said earlier, healing is not linear.
Right.
However, it is happening.
Exactly. Well, it's been a pleasure, April. I will have all of your links in the show notes, and you're such a blessing. Keep on shining, keep on helping women, men, and of course, yourself. You're doing awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Gina.
Of course.